Yes, it's quite aspirational, but it does lead to even a bigger picture of looking at how AI is going to affect our view of networks and truth and facts, which leads us to our final insight of the day, coming back to a New York Times article that you shared with me around how the title, the lead, is how hallucinatory AI helps science dream up big breakthroughs, which spoke near and dear to my heart as someone who I started my career protein folding. I did some computational chemistry back in the day. And so it's always great for me to see, oh gosh, I remember dealing with the days when we tried to look at just hundreds of interactions to try to fold a protein and figure out what is theoretically possible. And our computer would spin and whir and overclock and then just kind of stall and just kind of telling you, oh, I cannot deal with this. And now AI is actually doing a much more fantastic job of being able to figure out some of these theoretical proteins.
Well, first of all, you're like a professional cat. You've had 9 lives. Every time we talk, it's like another. I was in politics. I was in this. It's like, are you're really 95 and just look really good for your age or something? I don't understand.
Started when I was
Um,
12. Yeah, that's the great thing about being a boy genius. You get to try a lot of things early.
oh, I see. Okay. Look, I love this article. What I took umbrage with is the use of the term hallucinatory because anyway, when we talk about hallucinations in AI, to me, it means something very, very specific, and that is simply getting the fact wrong because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't know and it just made it up. And that is what, when you talk about hallucinations, that's the damaging. And what they're really talking about is not that it's getting the information wrong, but that it's effectively being creative. That they're using it as a creative tool. You're giving it and saying, "How could this work?" And it just makes stuff up, but it's making stuff up based on its model, and as part of doing that is coming up with things that the scientists then go test and go, this might actually work. And it's really helping them do what I think one of the so we talked earlier about the killer Gen AI use case. I actually think this is one of the Gen AI killer use cases that we don't give enough credence to, and that is this process to help the creativity. We as humans get trapped in our own frames of mind, in our own mental models of how the world works, of how things function, and we miss connections because we automatically go to that path of least resistance, the neurons that have already been connected that says this is how the world functions. And AI is unburdened by any of that. It
Mm-hmm.
just, you give it a question, it just starts looking at connecting the dots and looking at where those patterns exist that we can completely miss. And so what it talked about is that that's what they're using it for. And I do the exact same thing. I do so much of the work I do where I'm brainstorming. It's my favorite use of Gen AI is I go and I just pump everything I'm working on, I throw it in and said, what am I missing? Or I'm thinking about this. Is there another way of looking at it? And it sometimes just comes up googly gop, and sometimes it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But never do I consider that a quote unquote hallucination. And so I applaud the article. I hate the use of the term, but I think it's a great thing, a great use of AI that most organizations are really probably not taking nearly enough advantage of.
Yeah, like to go, I'll try to simplify this, but like from a chemistry perspective, one of the things you try to do most often is you have like a sticky piece of a molecule, and then which clumps things up. So when you clump things up, you get things like heart attacks, strokes, Alzheimer's. So you obviously want to cover up that clumpy bit, the sticky bit. And if you're doing this from a human perspective, you might create this 100 atom molecule, and then you switch out one atom at a time to try to figure out if you can make this sticky molecule somewhat better. But with AI, it might say, hey, what if we just do this 20 molecule thing that's shaped completely differently and uses something completely different because it's theoretically possible. And to me, I agree with you. That's not just hallucination. That's looking at the broader world of what is theoretically but physically possible. And that's a fantastic new world to be able to look through instead of having to be simply deal with human expectations, being able to have those moments of actual, frankly, genius that are now possible. And I'm glad that in the article, scientists were also pushing back against calling this hallucinatory, because I agree, hallucinations have both this expectation of fact versus not fact, as well as being a very anthropomorphized version of what AI is doing. It assumes that AI actually has a human view of what we're trying to do in the first place, which it's just not. First of all, let's face it, AI are still computers. They still think of things in a computer way, which means that they are going to make assumptions that you and I are not going to necessarily make, and that's fine. It's just let's just accept that this is a feature rather than a human hallucination.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like I think it was interesting. It's another great article. Highly recommend you read it. And what it, to me, the impact was, it just caused me to, I'm already doing a lot of this, but just honestly wanted me to make, oh, I can even do more of this and really use it in these creative ways. So definitely worth the read. So,
Yes.
well, with that, I think we covered everything this week.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're getting your hallucinations from AI rather than ayahuasca or whatever other options there might be out there. Timothy Leary, LSDing.
That's there. There you go.